Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and this is the second to last video for today because I'll be doing the Twitter files immediately after, and it is done. So without further ado, let me get directly into the article so I can get onto that. And yeah, hopefully you guys are enjoying the videos and the content. Federal court declares it's fair for biological males to compete in women's sports. Connecticut women high school athletes have been waiting for justice for years, ever since their sporting events and rankings were upended by biological males who entered women's competitions and then dominated. A federal court ruled that these women would not see justice served. Selena Soule, Chelsea Mitchell, Galana Smith, and Ashley Nicoli all competed against biological males in high school athletics in the state of Connecticut, and each won, despite the dominance in the sport when it was restricted to females only. Lost to biological males Andrea Yearwood and Terry Miller. In the case before the Second Circuit of Court of Appeals, Solvay Connecticut Association of Schools, the court stated that they were unpersuaded by the arguments that it is unfair for biological males to compete in women's sports. The case specifically asked for the women to be given the titles they would have earned had the biological males not competed, and the trans development athletes to be stripped of those titles. The Second Circuit of Appeals upheld the lower court ruling, which essentially said that since plaintiffs and defendants had all graduated from school, the point of the case was moot. However, it wasn't so moot that if the trans athletes didn't fight to keep the titles they earned by competing against women. Like the district court, we are unpersuaded with respect to the claim for an injunction to alter records. That plaintiffs have established the injury in fact, and redressability requirements for standing both fail for reasons of speculation. The Second Circuit judges wrote according to Fox News, and because we conclude that the CIAC and its member schools did not have adequate notice that the policy violates Title IX, indeed they had notice to the contrary. Plaintiffs' claims for damages must be dismissed. The court continued. The court cited the Supreme Court ruling in Bostock 2020, saying thus it cannot be said that the policy which prohibits discrimination based on a student's transgender status by allowing all students to participate on gender-specific teams consistent with their gender identity falls within the scope of Title IX's prescriptions. The issue is that the concept of gender identity, which is the chosen descriptor, has been entirely conflated with biological sex, something over which no person living has control or the ability to change. Attorneys from Alliance Defending Freedom, who represent the women, rightfully noted in a statement to the Post-Millennial that the Biden administration entirely misunderstands and misapplies Bostock and their rush to affirm all genders but that of biological women. The Biden administration specifically takes the Bostock decision and misapplies it to control the post-millennial. The Supreme Court was really clear in Bostock that its decision was a limited holding and arose in the context of federal employment, discrimination law, and the court specifically said that they were leaving other questions and other contexts, including bathrooms, athletics, and the like, for another day. For the Biden administration to try to stretch its Supreme Court decision in this way and attempt to argue that it has some sort of gender ideology mandate is simply false, she said. And that is exactly what the Second Circuit has done. Under the Trump administration, the Department of Education said that it was not acceptable for males to compete in women's athletics. They held the right of women to compete on a fair playing field, but the Biden administration has leaned heavily into weakening the rights of women for biological males to identify as women. Biden's Education Secretary Miguel Condorda was the one who implemented the rules, allowing boys to steal women's titles in the state of Connecticut. During this time, heading education for that state. So, the federal court declares it's fair for biological males to compete in women's sports. Well, there you have it. There you have it. Here's my problem with all this and the issues that we see here in reality. I can't really say I can really be surprised by this, but at the same time, Connecticut's a very heavy left-wing state. Say goodbye to all your sports women in Connecticut. So there you go. You have officially lost your sports. You'll proceed to be dominated. You proceed to be losing all your sports. And thanks to the fact that you have supported essentially this fact, you are now losing your sports in Connecticut at the very least. Now you're probably going to say, "Oh, you're being super harsh. Why are you saying it's just women and all that?" Well, here's the thing. The reason why I'm saying it's just women is because they didn't fight to defend this long before. I have come to the long conclusion, I may do this in another video, or rather, in another Pacific stream, maybe, going on about this. But I think the women are inherently destructive at this point because they have destroyed their own sports. They have not done anything. Because they're fighting back, but they're fighting back way too late, and we've warned them about this. But it's unfortunate. Now, here's the thing. Do I want this to happen? No, obviously not. I don't want people, or specifically kids, to lose their sports. And the problem, and the thing is that I don't care for the adult women, right? Because the adult women made their choices. They allow this to happen. But the younger women that are, that had to deal with like kids, 12, 11, stuff like that, they're the ones that have to suffer. Kids have to suffer. And that's the issue that I have a bigger problem with. Because kids don't ask for this stuff. Kids have to look up to adults and have to have them be defended. Whereas this right now, the kids don't have that luxury. They don't have the ability to be defended because they have the kids they're not able to defend anything. But whereas adults, they are able to defend stuff, and the women have failed their own children. They have failed their own kids, and the adult women, mind you. And this is the issue that we have. Well, I guess this is just the way it is. You guys have you guys fought. You failed. You have actual misogynists entering your place and ruining your sports. And I guess this is the only way for you guys to really fight is to vote differently, eh? I think that's the one way you can. I mean, granted, I don't think the Republicans are worth a damn anyways. I think this country is going into a very, very dark place. As I say, as many people say, it needs to get worse before it gets better. But, yeah, this is just the reality that you are living in. I think women are in great danger. Young women are in great, great danger. I think there will be a lot more rapes happening. I think there's going to be a lot more abuse. And this is just the reality that they're going to have to face. I mean, you conform to this type of ideology, you get what you deserve. And unfortunately, this is the consequence of that. Should have fought earlier. Should have listened. But instead of that, you want to say your woman is strong and independent. Don't need no man. Don't want to listen to men. You didn't. And this is the consequence. Well, reap what you sow. Alright guys, that's it for the video. Like, subscribe, share. The Twitter Files is coming up next. Take care.